Hi friends, it's Miss Lori. I hope everybody's staying safe and healthy and enjoying our winter weather that we're having. We've been talking a lot about animals that are in the winter, and I thought that we would read a story today, which is one of my favorite stories called The Mitten. And The Mitten is written and illustrated by Jan Brett. And we all know that somebody who writes the story is called... That's right, the author. The author writes the story. The author writes the story. Hi-ho the dairy-o, the author writes the story. And we all know that somebody who draws the pictures in the story is called... That's right, the illustrator. The illustrator draws the pictures. The illustrator draws the pictures. Hi-ho the dairy-o, the illustrator draws the pictures. The Mitten. The Mitten, a Ukrainian folktale adapted and illustrated by Jan Brett. For Sylvia, Kyle, Ruth, Ann Johnson, Rebecca Lim, and Tad Beagley. Once there was a boy named Nicky who wanted his new mittens made from wool as white as snow. What color did he want his mittens? He wanted them white. At first, his grandmother, Baba, did not want to knit white mittens. If you drop one in the snow, she warned, you'll never find it. But Nicky wanted snow-white mittens, and finally, Baba made them. After she finished, she said, when you come home, first I will look to see if you are safe and sound. But then I will look to see if you still have your snow-white mittens. So off Nicky went, and it wasn't long until one of his new mittens dropped in the snow and was left behind. Do you think he'll be able to find the mitten in the snow? Let's find out. A mole, tired from tunneling along, discovered the mitten and burrowed inside. It was cozy and warm and just the right size, so he decided to stay. Who's in this mitten? That's right, the mole. A snowshoe rabbit came hopping by. He stopped for a moment to admire his winter coat. It was then that he saw the mitten, and he wiggled in, feet first. The mole didn't think there was room for both of them, but when he saw the rabbit's big kickers, he moved over. So now there's the mole and the rabbit inside. Next, a hedgehog came snuffling along. Having spent the day looking under wet leaves for things to eat, he decided to move into the mitten and warm himself. The mole and the rabbit were bumped and jostled, but not being ones to argue with someone covered with prickles, they made room. So now there's the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog. Let's see what happens next. As soon as the hedgehog disappeared into the mitten, a big owl, attracted by the commotion, swooped down. When he decided to move in, and also the mole, the rabbit, and the hedgehog grumbled. But when they saw the owl's glinty talons, they quickly let him in. Now, who's inside trying to stay warm in this mitten? The mole, the rabbit, hedgehog, and the owl. Up through the snow appeared a badger. He eyed the mitten and began to climb in. The mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, and the owl were not pleased. There was no room left, but when they saw his diggers, they gave him the thumb. Now, in this mitten, trying to stay warm, is the mole, the rabbit, hedgehog, owl, the badger. It started snowing, but the animals were snug in the mitten. A waft of warm steam rose in the air, and a fox, trotting by, stopped to investigate. Just the sight of the cozy mitten made him feel drowsy. The fox poked his muzzle in. When the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, and the badger saw his shiny teeth, they gave the fox lots of room. Who's trying to stay warm inside this mitten? The mole, the rabbit, hedgehog, owl, the badger, and now the fox. A great bear lumbered by. He spied the mitten all plumped up. Not being one to be left out in the cold, what do you think he did? That's right, he began to nose his way in. Do you think there's enough room for a bear? The animals were packed in as tightly as could be, but what animal would argue with a bear? The mitten swelled and stretched. It was pulled and bulged, too many times its size, but Baba's good knitting held fast. So now there's the mole, the rabbit, the hedgehog, the owl, the badger, a fox, and a big bear inside this mitten, all trying to stay warm and cozy. Along came a meadow mouse, no bigger than an acorn. She wriggled into the one space left and made herself comfortable on top of the great bear's nose. Now there's a mouse with the mole, the rabbit, hedgehog, owl, badger, fox, and bear. And where is she? She's on the bear's nose. The bear, tickled by the mouse's whiskers, gave an enormous sneeze. Ah! Ah! Achoo! The force of the sneeze shot the mitten up into the sky and scattered the animals in all directions. On his way home, Nicky saw a white shape in the distance. It was the lost mitten, silhouetted against the blue sky. As he ran to catch his snow-white mitten, he saw Baba's face in the window. First, she looked to see if he was safe and sound, and then she saw that he still had his new mittens. That's the end. And I hope that you all enjoyed that story about animals in the winter and them finding a lost mitten and wanting to stay warm from the cold winter. And I hope to see you all real soon. Bye.